Good morning, grandkids. Well, this morning is story time again, but first, I wanted to give a shout out to John Hensley. Uh, and on a note, he said, with lots of love, P.S. I hope you like pastel colors. And he signs Valville, so I guess John Hensley's online name is Valville. I don't know. But thank you, John. I have on the sweater today. Isn't that pretty, everyone? I wore it just for you today. Okay, let's get on with the story of In a Kingdom Far, Far Away. Let's see what Dorkly is up to today. This is chapter 24. Let me get these spread out here so I can work with them a little more easily. All right. What's up, Dermis? Asked the king. You've got something on your mind. What is it? I met a guard, a young one named Gable, Sergeant Gable, Dupree said, sipping his drink. I would like to get him admitted for training as a personal guard. I know, Dad, that it's a long way off in the future before anyone would take your place as king, but I thought maybe we should discuss this while your sons are young. And he chuckled. Dermis and I have mentioned this together, and we don't either one want the job, to be honest. The king's eyebrows shot up as he started to speak. I know, Dupree interrupted his dad. Just giving you something else to think about. And he chuckled again. Since Dermis is getting married, and to a lovely lady, I might add, he is obviously the most likely one of us to be king, years and years from now, my dear Dad. And Dupree smiled. But I'm just letting you know what I'm thinking, and to ask if I can place Sergeant Gable into the training program, and then have him as my personal guard. That way, he and I could continue growing up together. He's very young, also. And maybe be better prepared for the future when it comes. Although I may have to kick my brother in the butt to get him thinking straight about being king someday. Maybe Mandy, after they are married, will start realizing that she would be queen someday, and that kicking his butt from the other side would be a good idea. At that, they both started laughing. The king lifted his drink to his lips and looked at Dupree. You know, you've got a good head on your shoulders. I didn't realize you'd either one be thinking that far ahead. But I guess it's good that one of you seems to be thinking about your future. I agree with what you've said, and certainly give you my permission about Sergeant Gable. I know that your brother is too involved in his wedding to even bother, but later on, I'll talk to him about this and try to help him get interested enough to make some plans of his own. I realize that the oldest son is supposed to become the next king, and that even though you are twins, Dermis is a couple of minutes older than you, but we shall see. I'm glad that you talked to me, son. Go ahead with your plans, and sometime in the future, the three of us, and Mandy, of course, will talk of this again. And Conley smiled warmly at his son. I have been so lax in regard to so many things since your mother passed away. You know, Dad, it has been a few years now. If you hesitate about getting involved with anyone just because of us, don't worry about it. We would understand. We aren't children anymore, you know. And he gave his dad a wink. Well, I did meet someone a couple of parties back that I think of a lot lately. Maybe I'll give it a try. And he gave a hearty laugh. God knows if I remember how to act with a lady. And they both had a good laugh. Othello and William were walking hand in hand along the shopping kiosk in the outer court. "The wedding will soon be here, William," Othello said. "We should be thinking some more about where we want to live. You know that I'd rather live out here in the outer court rather than in a palace spire. I've lived there my whole life, and I think we should start our life together somewhere fresh and new. Have you looked at any of the housing out here in outer blue spire? Or we could build." William smiled at her and said, "I have really been thinking about that, and there are some beautiful places just up this hill to the north, but still inside the outer wall. It's a climb, but we could rent a couple of horses and ride up there. I saw a couple of places that's empty, and the view is great." Othello's eyes lit up and she grinned. "Yes, please, let's get a couple of horses and ride up there. I'd love to see the places and check out the view. You can see way out to the sea looking out from behind the palace, and looking north, you can barely see a thin edge of the land far across the sea, which is another continent. And then, turning west or more southwest, you can see the mining village. The rest is all beautiful countryside," William said. Othello wanted to go right then. They hurried to the stable and rented 2 horses and headed out. She was excited to see what hopefully might be her new home. Meanwhile, after the king brought Dorkly home from jail, he was down in his secret room wondering if there was anything that he could come up with to help his dad, the court wizard, whom the physicians could do nothing for. He slipped past his bookcase filled with various ingredients for the mightiest of potions and papers of various menus, of which sheets of... I'm doing a horrible job reading. He slipped past this bookcase of all these goods that's always fallen in the floor, and several sheets of menus wafted to the floor as he hurried by. Surely there was something here which would help his father. He had an old book up on the farthest shelf, which he hadn't looked at in a couple of years. He pulled it down, carried it over to a table, putting it down and sitting down. The book was big and heavy. The cover was thick and engraved with magical, colorful designs. He placed his hands on the book and recited a magical phrase of calling, which his dad had taught him. He then opened the book at random, and as the leaves fell open, a yellow light shot straight up from the book to the ceiling above. Dorkly gasped and drew back his head, looking at the page, unable to even see the words. Gradually the light dimmed and flickered out. He looked down at the strange words written in blood. So we shall see what that's all about, maybe in the next video. I just strangled. I'll see you all next time, kids. Bye-bye.